this is a really nice example of the way in which it doesn't necessarily work that way in practice. So.
And yet again, how the courts are driven, and state legislatures.
The biggest difference between this class and my other classes is that I'm co-teaching with Tim Byrnes.
It's directly connected to providing that kind of framework.
Because the topic is an interdisciplinary topic, we thought that it would be particularly well suited to having two professors, not just from two different disciplines, but from two different divisions at Colgate.
We don't do half and half. We talked about, well, maybe you'll do this day, I'll do this week. We don't do that. We are just sitting next to each other every single day, engaging the students and the materials together. And in that sense, it's completely different. Because when you're teaching, one is teaching one's own course, you know, I go in every day, I kind of know what I want to say. We, on purpose, don't consult before each class. So I have no idea what she's going to say, and she has no idea what I'm going to say. And that has a kind of an openness to it.
Teaching-wise, we both have quite similar styles. We tend to be pretty conversational in our teaching.
And then Jenna has a strong intellectual commitment to encourage serious consideration of arguments with which one might not agree.
Does it matter that there's a long-standing tie between marriage and law in this country? What I'm really asking is a slightly different question, which is, like, why might it matter?
I work hard in the classroom to try not only to get students to read texts and think about the facts that the texts are conveying, but also to imagine themselves holding those political and social anxieties themselves.
I noticed in the Kuntz reading was that it assumes knowledge of early and mid-60s television shows that I'm guessing most of you don't have. You don't mind. I might be the only person in the room that's actually watched those shows. Put the focus a little bit on myself. So for example, instead of challenging a student to say, okay, what does this mean for your life? I do occasionally say, well, you know, for example, I'm married, you know, and so in a discussion of how same-sex marriage will affect the institution of marriage in general, I'll talk about myself as being married and what that means in society and in individual relationships and how that might be articulated politically.
Abortion and same-sex marriage and other culture war issues that have gelled around particular legal developments in this country are an excellent way, in my mind, of bringing out that side of law that is not simply a mechanism for creating resolution and clarity about particular issues, but for highlighting for students the way in which the legal realm can actually foster very deeply entrenched conflicts.
If at the end of the class, their understanding of abortion, birth control, same-sex marriage, and the relationship of those rights to the notion of religious liberty, if they're able to understand that from an academic point of view, but also then take that into their life and to try to get a deeper understanding of the relationship between those, you know, that would be wonderful.